Shouldn't Prince William be the bigger brother here?
I don't think
William
will ever forgive him.
No.
And I'm not sure I would. I mean, if one of my brothers did that to me...
Yeah, but you
Paris Fashion Week was already the crown jewel of the fashion calendar this year. But Yves Saint Laurent's after party, oh, that was the real battlefield. Velvet ropes, chandeliers dripping like melted diamonds, and whispers deadlier than any headline. It wasn't the press rooms where power shifted. It was right there, over champagne flutes and raised eyebrows. Every single guest had been personally handpicked by Anthony Vaccarello himself. The creative genius with a reputation for precision and a zero-drama tolerance level that could cut glass. So when Meghan Markle's name mysteriously appeared on the RSVP list, the staff actually thought someone was joking. But oh no, it wasn't a mistake. And that's where the storm began.
Settle lots of grudges, yeah, but I just have heard William will never...
According to multiple insiders, Meghan's team had found a backdoor, sliding in through a third-party PR agency, skipping YSL's direct approvals like a whisper in the dark. She hadn't been invited. She'd inserted herself. That night, as the crème de la crème of Paris floated through marble corridors, Meghan made her grand entrance. She wasn't blending in, she was announcing herself, draped in black velvet with exaggerated shoulders, a gown that looked almost like YSL but wasn't. 10:37 p.m. Timestamp burned into fashion gossip history. Her stylist on one side, her small camera crew on the other, claiming they were documenting her return to fashion. Within minutes, quiet panic flickered through YSL's press staff. One coordinator whispered into her headset, "She's not on the list, but she's already inside." At first, they let it go. She wasn't causing trouble, yet. But then she walked straight toward Anthony Vaccarello, and darling, the air cracked. She extended her hand, smiled that polished smile, and dropped a bomb with velvet in her voice. "I've always admired your work. Though lately it feels like you've lost the edge, Yves built the house on the entire room froze. The moment hung like a blade."
Will never make up with Prince Harry, no matter how much pressure the heir to the throne is put under.
Vaccarello didn't flinch, cool as silk, one blink, a razor-thin smile. "Perhaps," he murmured. "But some edges aren't meant to be shared." Meghan laughed lightly, pretending it was witty banter. But no one around saw it as a joke. Editors, designers, stylists, they saw an uninvited guest publicly critiquing one of fashion's most untouchable icons. And just like that, a single sentence turned a night of glitter into a fashion earthquake.
That is the revelation from Piers Morgan, who, let's just remember for 1 second, is a royal insider. Close friends.
Within minutes, whispers turned into strategy. A quiet message passed from YSL's comms team to security: escort her and her crew out, discreetly. No shouting, no chaos, no scandal, just smooth surgical precision. But the cameras? Oh, they caught it. Meghan turning toward security, her chin raised, whispering, "You'll regret this. Everyone in Paris knows I belong here by morning." That one line had detonated across the world. Headlines screamed, "Meghan Markle kicked out of YSL event after insulting designer." Uninvited Duchess sparks chaos at Paris Fashion Week. Even her closest PR allies couldn't spin this. One insider said bluntly, "She crossed the wrong person." Meanwhile, inside YSL HQ, Vaccarello didn't even blink. No press statements, no interviews, no drama. Just a single elegant response sent to journalists by noon. Yves Saint Laurent celebrates artistry and invitation-only intimacy. Last night was no exception. No names, no theatrics, just cold, perfect steel wrapped in silk. But Paris never sleeps on gossip. The silence only fanned the flames. The silence from YSL wasn't weakness. Oh no. In Paris, silence is the sharpest statement of all. Whispers started leaking before lunch. Meghan hadn't just made small talk. She'd walked straight into an elite circle of editors and designers and called YSL's latest collection sterile and uninspired. One witness told Elle France, "It wasn't the critique itself. It was who it came from. You don't walk into a cathedral and tell the architect you'd change the windows." TikTok exploded. Dramatic reenactments, fake accents, captions like, "You've lost the edge Yves built the house on." Millions of views, the scandal even got a name, YSL Gate. Back in Montecito, Meghan's team panicked. Emergency PR calls were flying left and right. Their plan? Make her look like a misunderstood truth-teller. A source close to Meghan whispered to Variety, "The Duchess is passionate about creative integrity and simply expressed admiration for YSL's legacy." Any suggestion of conflict is exaggerated, but Paris wasn't buying it. Screenshots of that admiration were instantly glued next to that viral smirk of Vaccarello under the party's dim lights. cool, collected, untouchable. Then YSL struck without lifting a finger. That evening, their official Instagram posted one simple backstage photo of Vaccarello adjusting a gown. The caption, "Some legacies don't need defending." 7 words, and that's all it took. The internet erupted. Fashion insiders screenshot it like wildfire. No hashtags, no context. But everyone knew who those words were aimed at. For YSL, it was PR brilliance. For Meghan, a social execution. Within hours, hashtag Some Legacies started trending worldwide. Fashion pages posted side-by-side comparisons of Vaccarello's timeless runway looks and Meghan's old red carpet attempts. The subtext was cruel but crystal clear. YSL creates legacy. Meghan chases it. Even rival designers quietly sided with Vaccarello. Vogue Paris's editor tweeted, "When a designer doesn't respond to chaos, it's because the clothes already did." In Montecito, Meghan's phone wouldn't stop vibrating. Her manager read out headline after headline as she paced her living room barefoot. Fashion Week Daily, Harper's Bazaar, Le Monde. It was everywhere. She muttered, "They're just intimidated." I said what no one else would, but even her team had stopped believing that line. The final blow came from her own stylist, the one who addressed her that night. In a now-deleted Instagram comment, she wrote, "I told her not to go. YSL doesn't take gatecrashers lightly." Boom! Another wave of headlines hit. Meghan ignored her own stylist's warning. Inside the Duchess's Paris meltdown, every damage control attempt only made the fire burn hotter. A week later, the dagger was delivered. An internal YSL email leaked. It listed Meghan Markle, restricted access, permanent. Translation, banned. Insiders whispered the order came straight from Vaccarello himself. Not out of spite, but protection. YSL's empire is built on exclusivity, control, and quiet power. And Meghan, with her entourage, cameras, and unsolicited commentary, was the opposite of all that. The internet pounced. Meme pages flooded with posts mocking her exclusive exit. One viral meme showed a velvet rope blocking Meghan from a YSL runway. Caption, "When the dress code is invitation only." But the cruelest part didn't come from trolls. It came from the industry itself. PR agencies started quietly erasing her from guest lists. Louis Vuitton, Balmain, Balenciaga. In just 48 hours, she went from comeback queen to persona non grata. Vaccarello? He didn't utter another word. He didn't have to. YSL's silence was louder than any statement. By the third morning, the fallout had turned into something bigger than a scandal. It had become a cultural moment. Fashion blogs, TikTokers, late-night hosts, everyone had their version of the same punchline. You can't crash a YSL party and insult the host. Inside YSL HQ, there were no champagne toasts, no smug celebrations, just strategy. A private email was sent to their global PR network. All guest lists and collaborations involving YSL talent must undergo personal review. Avoid associations with individuals whose conduct conflicts with our Maison's values. The subtext was sharp. Don't let Meghan near anyone connected to us. It worked like clockwork. Within 2 days, brands that once courted her quietly stepped back. One PR exec admitted, "If YSL cut her off, none of us want to be the next headline." Meanwhile, in Montecito, Meghan was on the phone nonstop, barefoot in her kitchen, venting to her American publicist. "I made one comment about creativity, and he took it personally because I intimidate them. These men can't handle outspoken women." But her publicist, a seasoned Hollywood fixer, didn't feed the narrative this time. "Meghan," she said gently, "this isn't about men or women. This is about hierarchy. And you insulted the king of Paris fashion on his throne." Meghan fell silent because deep down she knew it was true. By noon the next day, more reports began to surface, and they weren't gentle. Whispers spread like spilled perfume in a crowded ballroom. Multiple insiders claimed Meghan hadn't just critiqued Vaccarello. She'd also been overheard telling a British journalist that European designers have lost touch with relevance. "Oh, in Paris, that's not just a comment, that's a declaration of war." Anthony Vaccarello, still silent, but the very next evening, YSL's official account posted 3 black and white photos from the after-party. Vaccarello was there, surrounded by models, editors, and icons. The caption, "Revenge is timeless." The internet went nuclear. That wasn't a clapback. That was couture artillery. Comment sections turned vicious. One top comment read, "He ended her in 2 words." Another, "This is how you destroy someone without saying their name." Rival houses, normally too careful to involve themselves, quietly applauded Vaccarello's elegance. A Balmain executive even tweeted, "Vaccarello doesn't speak often, but when he does, it becomes scripture." In Montecito, Meghan's assistant refreshed the post again and again, watching the likes skyrocket into the millions. Meghan, standing by the window, whispered, "They're acting like I'm the villain." I was the moment, but her assistant finally said what no one else dared, "Not anymore." If this had just been a juicy little scandal, maybe it would have faded. But this was Paris. And Paris doesn't forget. It lingers like a signature scent. Within a week, invites for the next round of Fashion Week began circulating. And for the first time in years, Meghan Markle's name wasn't on a single list. No Dior, no Balenciaga, no Louis Vuitton, not even the indie shows she once called too small. Every door she'd tried to push open had quietly locked itself. A former PR agent put it bluntly, Paris doesn't blacklist with press releases. It just forgets you exist. Meanwhile, YSL turned the scandal into art. Their next runway theme, discretion, no influencers, no chaos, no front row circus, just shadow and silk. Halfway through the show, the lights dimmed and a projection appeared on the runway wall. Elegance is refusing. The audience gasped. It was poetic, devastating, legendary. By the next morning, headlines wrote themselves, a masterclass in revenge without a word. Belaye, France. When Meghan spoke, it was noise. When Vaccarello responded, it was couture. The Guardian. Back in Montecito, Meghan stared at those lines over her morning coffee. Her assistant tried to distract her with foundation updates, but her eyes were fixed on the screen. They're turning humiliation into their aesthetic, she whispered. Her publicist tried one last spin. Maybe Oprah. A rebrand interview, a story about the fashion elite, but the appetite was gone. The public had picked its story, and it wasn't hers. Weeks later, the final nail in the couture coffin dropped. A luxury gossip site leaked an internal YSL memo. Effective immediately, the Duchess of Sussex is not to be referenced in brand-affiliated marketing or social discussions. Maintain professionalism and distance. That line, maintain distance, became the internet's favorite punchline. Fashion houses maintaining distance faster than restraining orders? Meghan, reinventing social distancing, couture edition. It was cruel. It was merciless. It was very, very Paris. Because in this city, your reputation isn't canceled in anger. It's erased in elegance. And Meghan Markle had just learned that lesson the hard way. Weeks passed, and Paris had already moved on. YSL's latest campaign, The Voice of Elegance, painted the city black with silk, shadow, and quiet power. No one said Meghan's name anymore. They didn't need to. The silence did the talking. Back in Montecito, her lifestyle project Maison Arch was crumbling. Sponsors had fled. Stylists were suddenly unavailable. Every comeback attempt felt like yelling into a ballroom where the music had stopped long ago. She tried one last bold move, a black satin gown eerily similar to a YSL archive piece. But the internet pounced. Memes, side-by-side photos, brutal captions. YSL didn't even respond with words, just one post. We never repeat. We Refine Paris had written her ending. No press release, no apology, just a locked door and a whisper. Some rooms aren't locked. They're just not yours. And in that silence, Meghan vanished.